Good morning, viewers. Welcome to Frankly Speaking with Vibhuti Jha. Happy New Year. And I'm sure all of us have had a great time celebrating the new year with the family. I do not know what has happened around, who has gone where, and what they have done. But given the incredible COVID, Wuhan virus, as I prefer to call it, we are all stuck. Celebrations have changed. Life has changed. Things are no longer the same, and they will not be the same for a while. But this year 2020 was past. Now we are in 2021. Will anything change? And that's what a question that comes to my mind. Is a famous Hindi song, फिर वही शाम फिर वही गम फिर वही तन्हाई है. So dil ko behlani teri yaad chali aayi hai. So will every year we celebrate New Year, but we are back to being whatever we were. So what changed? But we do know this time that 2020 was a year which brought about absolutely cataclysmic changes. And as I always say, that every challenge, every disaster is an opportunity. So what did we learn from there? What is the message going forward? I don't believe in New Year resolutions. I believe in commitment we make to ourselves. The things that I did, I will not do it again. Or things I didn't do, I will start doing it. So these are the things that I want to talk about today. And there is one of the very important question also is that where do we go from here? So since coronavirus has been a real serious issue amongst us, and now we believe there is a second strain of it, or second, metamorphosis of that, strain of that, call it as you like, in UK. And as a UK manager in UK said that this particular COVID impacts you faster than the previous one. We have the privilege of having with us today Dr. Rakesh Sharma, who is the one person I know personally who has been in the forefront and the front line, absolutely on top of the COVID fight. So Dr. Sharma, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Vibhuti ji, can I say something?
I'll come to you. Let me just introduce all the panelists
Yes,
today. So
sure.
I'm very delighted and honored to have all of you here sharing the platform, my first program of the new year. Dr. Shobhal Chokalingam, she is a cardiac professional, cardiac surgeon, or a cardiologist? Shobhal.
Cardiologist.
Cardiologist. I have Shilekha Palleji, who proudly calls herself healthcare professional. And I have Dr. Krishna Bhatt with me, who is a urologist, a surgeon, and an amazing spiritual entrepreneur. We'll talk about that as we go forward. So, Dr. Sharma, I was going to ask you to lead the conversation on coronavirus, the latest on that. Don't take too long. Dr. Fauci has been misleading everybody. So let's not confound the misleading part of it. Just say with a sense of humor, what more do you have to add to this, and what caution people need to take in 2021 now that vaccine is here?
Before I say anything about COVID, I just want to answer your song with another song.
Okay.
Like you said, Fir Vahi Sham, Fir Vahi Gam. There was a song of Mother India. Dukh bare din beete re bhaiya, ab sukh aayo re.
Oh my God. You really have gone back to an era which majority of people would not be knowing what was that all about.
So in 2021, I think that's the song we need to remember.
That's
That
right.
Dukh bare din beete re bhaiya, ab sukh aayo re.
Good, good, good.
So the new year is supposed to bring new hope, and thanks to very speedy COVID-19 vaccine, and I think the credit goes to President Trump that this thing was manufactured so quickly after research, and not only that, it was also dispensed so quickly that no one has ever imagined or would have imagined. So given that we have a vaccine for COVID-19, which somehow 50 years later, people might think COVID-19 caused disaster in 2019, but it caused problem in 2020. So I think we should really call it COVID 2020, not 2000, not COVID-19. It should be COVID 20. Anyway, since we have COVID-19 vaccine, I think it's a game changer and things are really going to look better. But we all know nothing happens in a day or in a week. We are talking about 330 million American lives. We are talking about more than 7 billion people on planet Earth. It will take time. In US alone, it will take 6 to 7 months. The process has started, and by the end of December, we should have about 3 million to 4 million people already vaccinated who are frontline workers like me. I took my vaccine exactly 8 days ago and supposed to get second dose in another 13 days. So most of the people in nursing homes in New York State at least have started to get vaccine, and in other states also vaccination has started, and I'm sure by 3 months time we will see that half of US population will be vaccinated.
That's good news. That's a very good news and very comforting news, as a matter of fact. And all the vaccine manufacturers are confirming that it will be. They are all 95 plus rated chances of success. That's wonderful. That's a very good news indeed. But one question that comes to my mind is, about the American dream. So Shobhaji, I was going to check with you, is that how do you find the feeling that is the American dream over, or that dream still exists? It's a question that came to my mind while I was, thinking around what conversation do we need to have. There's still so many people are coming here. The things to worry about is that the young generation, see, there is a very interesting generational shift here. There was a time when, say, for example, people knew that their children will be doing better than the parents. This is the first time children are not sure whether they will be doing better than their parents. And even parents are wondering whether their children will do as well as they did. Somewhere along the line, something has shifted in the American dream. America is prospering, no doubt, but with the college education being what it is, $65,000 now. So 4 years, you incur a debt of $250,000. There's no way you are going to get a job that is going to run away your debt. So the question arises, how is the cost of education impacting the American dream? Is American dream still there? A tough question, but your thoughts.
For sure. I want to wish everybody on the panel, first of all, and Vibhuti ji, a wonderful new year ahead of us, and great to be looking back at 2020. American dream is very much there, I feel, because America is a land of resilience. It's a great phoenix. It's a shining example of hope and inspiration for the entire world, mainly because of the democratic spirit and how it was created, and in a short time has gained to be the best country in the world. So I always believe in the power of American dream and the goodness of American people. I think that is good karma. Now, when COVID hit, it has brought everybody closer together, and everybody's focused on what is important really in life. So that's a good thing, the positive rim out of that. But in terms of looking at the future, I think, first of all, affordable education should be the hallmark of a great nation. And that way, we also tailor education to meet our demands. So more technical education, science, the STEM education that's called, I would like to see more of that so that it's tied to what the country, the nation has to achieve. And for that, I think we need a lot of role models and showing the youngsters, high school students, college graduates, what can be done in these fields. And I think there's a lot that's being done in terms of efforts. I know Ivanka Trump has been doing a lot of programs for that. President has been, starting a lot of programs that'll inspire. And that's what we need. In fact, there's been training given to a lot of different sections of the society to skill them. That's what Ivanka Trump has been doing. And both women, men, everybody. So I think, having a great plan like that, seeing where we are and how do we go about, that's what the America that I know is all about, providing practical solutions to challenges ahead of us.
That's brilliant. That's a very wonderful, hopeful, the message of hope that you have given, that American dream is not gone yet, and it still remains. And I have my thought process has always been that, if we contrast America and India, we know that United States is 3 times larger in size than India and has 1/4 the population, with remarkably rich resources at its command and a reasonably great infrastructure in place. So the question for America is not that it is a resource constrained place. The question is that how the political will allows something to mess up, or the political will destroys it. So in one of the study groups, I had opined that presidents come, presidents go. It is the society that matters a lot. And this I had said 12 years ago, that my concern at that time was that the culture of political correctness that has seeped in American life, and a sense of entitlement that people are experiencing, and this was 10 to 12 years ago, I had said that. People did not believe me then. But today they all say you were so right. So the point which I am trying to say, that sometimes people can lose $1 billion in a gambling table, right? Yudhishthir lost his entire kingdom in one night of chopper. So the point which I'm trying to make is that, is American dream threatened? And I recognize what you are saying, Shobhaji. That's perfectly fine, great. I'm coming to you, Krishnaji. Your mic is, please, yes. So Krishnaji, you are the one who moves around with Sudarshan Chakra, and you are traveling around the world. Your name is wonderful, Krishna. And I'm in a lighter mood because, hey, this is the first day of the year. Let's kind of talk about things which are important. And I would like to hear from you, is that what in your perception of things that happened in 2020, in your personal and your professional life, that one thing that you would abandon doing, and the second thing that you will start doing?
Vibhuti ji, thank you very much. Sudarshan Chakkar ho gaya hai, it's not Chakra anymore. It's like we are in that Chakkar. 2020 ka Chakkar, Wuhan ka Chakkar. And one of the things that has happened, there are 2 sides of social effects that has happened from this virus. One is people were forced to be together, and therefore there has been rise in some problems, like domestic violence or alcohol or abuse of those things, because people were kind of forced to be isolated. But at the same time, the big good thing that happened, which I want to carry on, because I know you mainly because of Wuhan virus, maybe, the virtual conference, virtual meetings, virtual getting together, and many of us here have come together because of that. Otherwise, either you get together, you fly to Chicago or fly to New York to a meeting, and then you meet somebody. But now it has become possible to meet. In the medicine also, we are now able to have visits with patient on Zoom or virtual visits, which wasn't there. And President Trump did a marvelous job there, because one of the snags or one of the drawbacks or one of the reasons he did not popularize before was the billing part. Nobody could bill a telephone visit or a virtual visit, and that was all changed, and that has changed for good. So there will be, some of my patients come 3 hours drive, so for them it is 6 hours drive just to find out their test is normal or not. They don't need any examination. So that has become a big thing that I think will go forward. I'm sure Dr. Shobhaji also probably has some visits on virtual, and many of the cardiology visits are even televisits to help other providers. So I think this support system, the coordination, coming together, is something that I hope it exists in many ways. Then that didn't exist. I mean, our old boys club, and like PMCH, Patna Medical College, old boys. I mean, they are going to have a meeting online, and I'm sure there are many things going on. You are aware more than I do. So those are things that I'll take home and carry on, and
I,
resilience, as Shobhaji said, that is the key word of the year.
thank you very much. And yes, you are right. I mean, that's where I draw my thought process that every disaster is an opportunity for someone. And how do we convert that disaster in an opportunity is the story of a successful life. Because who doesn't go through a disaster? We all have in personal, social, community life, there is some disaster or the other, always happens. But as the saying goes, how you face it, how you rise up, how you deal with it is eventually defines you. So Srilekha ji, you are an active Republican, and you have been one of the major campaign stars in Virginia area for Mr. Trump. I remember seeing your picture when he was in the hospital, in the army hospital, when he was afflicted with the virus. And that was the evening that I was in the Bedminster Club in New Jersey, and we all went through the test. That's why Dr. Sharma did the test for me. We were all in that proximity, chance of being infected. Now, I have to ask you this political question. 3 days from now, uh, Trump has called for all his supporters to assemble in Washington, D.C. And there is tremendous amount of uncertainty going on. It almost appears that the entire establishment is asking him quit the race. But the fighter in Donald Trump says, no, there is still time. The fat lady has not blown the whistle or not sung. So let me explore the possibility. If I feel a wrong has been done, let me find out if wrong has really been done or it has impacted the whole thing. And I had opined right at the beginning in shows in India and other places that the courts will not take the cases unless and until there is a conclusive evidence that uh, the tampering, fraud, malified actions happened to the extent that would have changed the outcome of the election. So we know that many court cases have been lost, and Mr. Trump is still saying there are many permutation combination of Pence and the speaker trying to nullify the electoral thing is happening. So share with the audience, because this is important for full disclosure purposes. Incidentally, we were all supporters of Republican Party, Trump to win. So we are disappointed. But as a sportsman, I always say, I lost a match, let's over to the next match. But I realize, and I totally agree with the belief, which is what I told many people, that the election process in US is not done yet. So let the process play out, whatever the outcome. So Srilekha ji, your words on this.
Vibhuti and your viewers, Happy New Year to all of you. I would say let your heart not be in trouble. The process is over only on January 21st. For someone that has attended every single rally that happens in Washington, D.C., especially on weekends, I have never attended a single rally. I have seen thousands of his patriots come down to Washington, D.C., every single rally of his. I have not lost hope, neither thousands or millions of his voters. Please remember that 70 million of his voters have casted the votes in all good faith. And if they have not lost hope, we should not have done. He still is sitting on a stack of trump cards, if I may have said. He still has some court cases that will go to Supreme Courts. As you know, there There is a Texas case that now he's aware how to file them properly. We have to admit there has been some cases that they have not properly filed, but now he knows he's going to file under Article 3. So we shouldn't forget that. As we know, Barr has stepped down, so he can be a witness at this point. He's definitely letting civil, criminal, and federal courts fail to handle the situation. So he can now use military tribunals. There is that one act. Again, there is national emergency, the 14th Amendment he could use. So there are quite a few chances that that there is a possibility of Vice President Pence he could use, and the Patriot Act. So there are quite a few options that are out there on January 6th that we could be coming down to. So if you're all able to come down to support him, I think we should come down to support him. If you have attended at least one single rally of his, your hope will not go down at all. As you know, the big government and the Silicon Valley and the communist China. I mean, there has been every single possibility that is out there in this world that has tried their level best to bring him down. And this man stood for nothing but America. So I think none of us have any right to back down right now. So we should all support him up until January 20th. That's my take.
We will, whether win or lose, I would always hold Mr. Trump in very high esteem, because the man dared to be different and he dared to do things which nobody had tried before. Now, the public perception or the media slamming him in a certain order doesn't affect you and I, because we operate with our minds open. We are not blind to the blindness of dedicated philosophy. So that is perfectly fine. So I'm definitely on there. But the thing is that today you and I can do very little, because the process is not in our hands anymore. We can only pray, hope, and that he scores the penalty and wins the match. So I will. Sharma ji, aapse puchna tha. This is a very important question that I recall that ever since Mr. Modi won, I have said this, shared. Most of you know my opinion, that the left had gone completely berserk because of Modi in India in 2014 and 2019, Trump in 2016, and the likely winning of 2020, and Boris Johnson. So my phrase is, the world's three prominent democracies became right of center. And if Trump had won, effectively until if he had actually won in the normal course of run of events, the left ideology, as I call it, the leftist, Marxist, Leninist, Islamists, and all these factors who had joined hands for one purpose, to defeat Trump. What is your thought, considering the fact that 2016 onwards, they had said, let the process of impeachment begin, to dethrone Trump and not let him have the second term, or if he can't be demolished in the very first term during his time. Do you think this movement of the left liberal Marxist, Leninists, Islamists will also reach India in 2024? It is a hypothesis, but I'm saying that never take your opponent for granted, because just as the left liberal mass media hit Trump with one thing, that he's a bigot, he hates Muslims, he hates this, he hates that, he hates immigrants, they branded him as such. My gut feel is that they are going to hit India and Modi with one agenda: human rights violation. So whether it was Article 370, 35A, CAA, or the farmers thing, if you notice, the left liberal media only talks about he's indulging in human rights violation. That is the stamping being done in India. Modi being different than Trump, I'm 100% sure he will handle it differently. But your thought on that subject?
Well, first of all, just like all of us feel, something went wrong in US elections last month. I don't want to call it fraud,
right,
but I won't be shocked that something really happened, because I cannot believe that uh, President Trump had 72 million votes and Biden received 80 million. It just doesn't make sense, because the public has shown again and again, whether looking at the rallies or everything else, that this should have been just a reverse case, not what we have been told. Anyway, I'm not Sherlock Holmes. I'm not Columbo. I really can't get to the root of it, but it didn't make sense that president who did so much for the country
Right.
lost. Anyway, uh, if that is the final result, we all will have to live with it and go forward after 20th of January, because we are not like those radical leftists who went after President Trump the day he won the election 4 years ago. And the poor guy never had one day of break. So I'm hoping that we Trump supporters do not go after Biden and Harris the way leftists went after Trump. Now, will this wave reach India, or will PM Modi be defeated 4 years from now? I don't think so. I think Indian voters have seen the alternate is very bad. Although there is no Hindu country in the world, but India is a kind of Hindu country. We don't want to have it slipped away to any other religion. And the reason I'm saying that is there are 57 or 58 Muslim majority countries, and you can't even name one or two where you would like to live. So if there is only one Hindu country left in this world, we rather preserve it and than to let it go the other way around, because Sanatan Dharam has given so much to this universe. Forget about earth, I would say universe, so much that 57 Muslim countries cannot even come close. So Modi is the last hope for India. And I think Indian people have realized it in the last few years, that if we do not keep Sanatan Dharam alive, India will be one of the other 57 countries, or one more Islamic country, and will have really no support for the rest of the world. And so I don't think that India is going to go any other way but stay Sanatan Dharam or Hindu, whatever we want to call it. So Modi is not going to lose the election. And if Modi, tries to step down whenever he wants to, there are other people who can fill in his shoes, may not be as good as he is, but they will do a good job. So I think India is not going to fall to the same fraud that US did.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that part of it. So, Shobhaji, Rakeshji talked about the Hindu part of the world, Sanatan part of the world, and the fact that there are 150 plus Christian countries, there are 57 plus Muslim countries, but there is one Hindu country that calls itself secular. But I have a thought process that we Hindus have been under continuous attack. We are framed as radicals. We are RSS. The moment you say Hindu, the American media, the Western media, the leftist media begins to attack us in a very deranged way. I call it deranged way, and deranged is serious because it's also deliberately planned, is to attack us. If you wear a bindi, you are attacked. I mean, if you say you are Hindu, you are attacked, as if you are some kind of a monster has emerged on the thing. So in the United States, there is an organization called Indian American Muslim Council. I often see them attacking directly, virulently, that India is, and Muslims and everybody in India is going through a major human rights violation, whether it's farmers, anything. The point which I'm trying to make is that in America, we live in America. What is our role now in America? How do we American Indians, Hindus especially, and I won't use the word united, because uniting is a dangerous thing because you never unite in a 100% way. But how do we come together to confront a common enemy? And our common enemy is the scriptures of other faiths. And I say with deep respect, because we experience true freedom in our faith. They don't. They have scriptures that they have to live and follow. Absolutely. What do we American Indian Hindus need to do to confront the constant attack that happens on us?
Sure, that's a very important matter that's actually evolved in 2020. It came out to the fore. And I first want to say America knows very little about Hinduism. They've heard about India. They respect Indian origin folks. But Hinduism, just by the nature of it, it doesn't proselytize. It's not out to convert anyone. So we have not really talked about ourselves. So first of all, for the rest of the world, in India, Hindus are majority, so we don't need to go explain to anyone, what Hinduism is. And so the Indian Americans here, the Hindu Americans, have toiled hard for several decades, but they really did not pay attention or focus on the need for it, because we're just living our Sanatan Dharma life, and it's a great mellow religion. We've not had any run-ins with anyone, so much so that the Christian majority America has allowed hundreds of temples, Hindu temples, to flourish in America. And many of them come over to the temples and enjoy our Diwali celebrations, enjoy our desserts, Hindu festivals. They've been part of it. So now in 2020 and late 2019, this attack on Hinduism in America has begun and kind of dovetails into the question you asked Rakeshji earlier. There is a concerted, focused attack also on India. It's to throw a wrench on its path to becoming a $5 trillion economy. And you're seeing a lot of it reverberate in America. Suddenly, all accusations are being bombarded on India from many fronts. And I can tell you the amount of compassion and real secular, because Hindu religion is very secular. We say Vasudeva Kudumbakam. Yadum Ure Yavarum Keli, made very famous by our own Prime Minister Modi ji recently. It says, the whole world is ours. Everybody listen to this. That is the principle of Hinduism. And now we are under attack, although minorities flourish in India. I want to show a comparison. Pakistan is a breakaway nation. The 14 to 15% Hindu minority has dropped down to 1.6% now in Pakistan, whereas in India, the percentage of Muslims has increased, and healthily. There have been prime minister, there have been a president, Muslims, several Bollywood stars that have been Muslims, and my own friends, professors, they're on mainstream everywhere and lead a wonderful life, and they, do take up careers of their choice, and they enjoy being in India. So this attack and this narrative that's being created in American media, first of all, it's a sold media. And there are many forces behind this. And you hear about Open Society Foundation, the Soros background, as well as leftists, as well as our best friends forever now, the Chinese Communist Party, the jihadists. Everybody is focused on India because of the Kashmir issue. And they spin a lot of stories and false narratives to Americans who don't know a lot of what goes on in Southeast Asia. Certainly, they don't know much about Kashmir. And so we, as Hindu Americans, we have to raise our narrative and speak the truth. And, truth alone triumphs. That's America's version. And we say Satyameva Jayate in India. And I'm very, very confident that truth will triumph. We have to speak up. We have to be loud enough to counter the bad, ugly narratives against us. So there's anti-CAA resolutions. I mean, the amount of resolutions against it and against India, I agree. They have got, because India's flourishing and improving, growing leaps and bounds under Prime Minister Modi, he's the target. And always, the tree that bears a lot of fruits is the one that attracts a lot of stones. So we have to remember that. We have to counter these narratives in a very dignified way. And we have to increase awareness among mainstream, among American lawmakers, among our American friends circle about Hinduism.
Thank you. Krishnaji, one of the important things that happens is that, Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam and all the philosophy, I think the best definition of a very good contemporary definition of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam was given by Prime Minister Modi in the International Solar Alliance Conference, the first one, in which he said, one sun, one earth, one grid. Now, that was a modern 21st century definition of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, which is very powerful. Now, we talked about what must Hindus do. One of the things which is very true is that all four of us know this, and you experience it on a daily basis. All of us experience on a daily basis that in a doctor's office, when a patient comes with a problem, Shobhaji and you, all of you will testify that there is no monopoly. It's a Christian disease, a Christian cancer, or Islamic ulcer. There is no Hindu, pain in the stomach. The body is universal. So how, as a physician, all of you can take the message that God made us all, gave us life. What we believe as a religion part of it, before the religion was established, what were we? We were humans. Subsequently, we became part of a particular religion or a sect or whatever. So in your opinion of things, given your very strong spiritual streak as well, I will repeat the question that I requested Shobhaji to answer. What must we do in this country to set right the Hindu image of, we are respected, but we don't have the clout? How do we retrofit that entire image against the attack that happens from others? You are muted, sir. Mute ho gaya.
Right. Thank you, Vibhuti ji. I think what's happening is that there is going to be a rebalancing. I think the balance in the world was India was weak, India was just quiet and not rich. We couldn't afford anything. So they left us alone and the world moved around. Now India is rising. The Indians in America, look at corporate world. I mean, you come from the corporate world. They are rising. Look at cardiology and myself, urology. My son is at Cleveland Clinic. So there is a general rise in the Hindu population who is willing to call themselves Hindu. And India is also rising. Modi is rising. So now there is a whole rebalance happening. One of the questions you asked about what should we do in the meantime, and I go back to Mahabharata and Krishna. I think we should remember Krishna, because Krishna found the strengths and weaknesses of his opponents. And when the Chir Haran happened, when Draupadi, Vastra robe was done, there was all the possibility that they could have had a fight there or war there, right, and Panda would have lost. There was 13 years of preparation in that Vanvas period where they became stronger. So that's what India has quietly becoming stronger, becoming more affluent. And now it's time it can become assertive, like China is being assertive right now in this balance of power, and US doesn't like that part either. So there is going to be a rebalancing of power, and may take few years, but I don't think India is going away. And as you said, the wave is already in India. The leftist wave, or all the forces, they are already working there. And I love your sports analogy. And you saw the score. India did well against Australia, right?
Yeah. That's a fabulous example. In the first test match, India got clobbered. They scored 36 runs and in one of the innings, and they were beaten badly. Second test match, they came back and won by 8 wickets. Yeah. So, this is sports. You lose some, you win some. But Srilekha ji, what I'm coming to seek your thoughts on is that, politically speaking, politically speaking, I find that we Indians are not politically inclined, as a result of which we let the political play go away from us. What I find is that look at the examples of Representative Tlaib and the AOC and this Ilhan Omar. They are so belligerent. Now, I do know one thing for sure, that we have 5 congressmen who are Indians. I've never heard them make any sound that has been affirmatively pro-India or Hindu. Whereas these people, there was a report, right or wrong, I do not know, that Ilhan Omar and Tlaib asked Facebook to moderate reference to Islam in Facebook. Now, there goes First Amendment. So we are now seeing that United States will come in conflict. And the way the Democratic Party is trying to accommodate the political correctness in its behavior, where do you see this belligerence going? One thing which I do know, and we all know, that the mainstream Democratic Party, AOC, lost the environmental committee that she wanted to be in with thumping ouster, 40 to 13 votes or something like that. Will America rise up to this belligerence? And if yes, how do you think the vote bank politics will play in it?
So Vibhuti ji,
And I wanted to add one more thing. I was very disappointed to see that the Muslims had put out statements that let the Georgia Muslims mobilize to vote for Democratic Party. And I tweeted that if this was done for Georgia Hindus, we would have been branded as bigoted people. But nobody says a word about Islam. So why do you think people bend backwards to accommodate whims, fancies, and belligerence of Islam, and they blame us if we demand something like that?
So Vibhuti ji, I actually wanted to kind of start off with Georgia and also my own personal example about the political field too. So with regards to Hindus, I feel that we are always taught to be modest, right? And that's precisely, I think, when our own politicians are elected, we are taught to take a very moderate stance. So we don't go into Congress and demand stuff. And we don't make those belligerent statements because we're always taught to be tolerant and moderate. And that's what I do when I'm in the GOP. That is precisely what I encourage Republicans to do, is take a very make strong statements. Talking about this diversity also in the Republican sector, what we Hindus are trying to do is get into political field now, whereas what Muslims have done is got into political field 3 decades back. They have done groundwork about 3 decades back. Now we are trying to do the groundwork. Just this past weekend, I was part of a call where a Muslim gentleman, very nice gentleman, allowed me to host, where he had about 20 interfaith leaders. He invited me to come to Pakistan as a diplomat of a Hindu to participate in an international Pakistan conference to meet Prime Minister of Pakistan, where I was the only Hindu leader. Whereas we never take that kind of initiatives to invite world leaders to come in. And out of the 20 people delegates, they were everywhere throughout the world. So those kind of initiatives are never taken by our Hindu leaders. So the leaders that he invited were all top-notch leaders, Catholic leaders, Baha'i leaders, Congress people from United States. So they take for 30 years or 3 decades, they were taking initiatives in the United States. So now we are already 30 years behind the scenes. So the same I compare, not only Hindus are 30 years behind compared to Muslims, I look at Republican parties when we are looking at their diversity compared to Democrats, we're 30 years behind the scenes. So as a Hindu Republican person, I am behind 30 years as a Hindu, as I'm behind 30 years as a Republican. So we already start in the political field as a disadvantaged person. So not playing a victim role, so we are already behind the scene, if that makes any sense as an analogy. So to get into the field and making belligerent statements is, it doesn't work out that way. So I think, so it's high time that we get very active. We encourage our children to stand up for themselves. We teach them to stand up for themselves, and we teach them to become politically active, I think, right from the get-go. I think that's how we need to encourage our younger generation and to be strong Hindus. And it's okay to go out and say, I'm an American Hindu. It's okay to go out and say, I'm a conservative. And that's how you stand up for ourselves and get into politics at an early age.
Thank you so much. I mean, yes, you are right. I mean, for example, you talk about involvement in politics. I mentioned to you earlier on that most of the Indians who came here 30 years ago, first generation, 30 or 40 years ago, they were busy studying, getting a job, the classic Indian life of stabilize, secure, earn money, nothing wrong in it. And we did not carry our politics on our sleeves. And we hardly were consciously aware about our own faith and religion because we were not taught back home. So one of the major dilemmas Hindus face, Hindu parents face, is that if you are not fine-tuned to it, your children don't know about it either. And so therefore, it is important to have that learning from parents themselves. We need to go through the drill to understand our text, our religion. Like the Shobhaji knows so much. It is always pleasure to see how she always comes up. Today is this day, tomorrow is that day, and there is an involvement. Krishnaji has similar involvement. I developed that after I came here, because back home we take things for granted. So Rakeshji, I will shift the gear now. The time is coming to a close. So in the year 2020 and the year 21, what will change for you? Or phir wahi sham, phir wahi gam. So what I wanted to ask, as a personal level, and I'll share mine too, is that what of 2020 you will not allow to happen in 2021 in your personal part or professional, either way you choose. So this question is for everybody, so get ready to answer that. Because I want you to connect with the audience by saying that this is what I'm no longer going to do in 2020 that I did, and in 2021, what new thing that I'm going to change to myself.
Well, 2-3 things. Number one, I was not.
No. One thing.
I was not affected as much as other people were because of COVID-19. In fact, this year I worked harder and more number of hours than I did previous year because the situation demanded that. I run ICU and I had Department of Internal Medicine at my hospital. So I was there every other day. So for me, there was more than enough work. Yes, what I missed was the travel and meeting my loved ones. If someone doesn't live in New York, I was not able to travel to different places to see them. For me, that was the biggest difference. And so I expect to go places next year. And since I will get my second shot of vaccine in exactly 13 days, so I think I'll be okay. 95% chances I will not get into any problem. And yes, I want others to get the vaccine, my loved ones also, which will be another 2, 3, 4 months. And I think then life will be okay, back to normal. So I expect 2021 to be much better. And yes, I feel bad for the people who actually died from COVID-19 for no fault of theirs. And also the families of those people who died. So they perhaps suffered a lot. And so many other businesses that may close down. I feel bad for them that it was none of their faults. So I hope things recover at much faster speed than we expect them to. And I hope everybody's life gets better.
Good. So you didn't answer my request. My request was what one thing that you will change or do in a personal level. Shobhaji?
I will travel a lot.
Okay. Shobhaji, for you, what?
Well, sure. What personal thing in 2021, this is personal and big time, I will seek to buy more made in America things in all parts of my life. I have been avoiding any made in China and those things. I really think I want to boost American economy. So I'm really making that conscientious effort. And I also want to speak up more about Hinduism and increase the awareness about it and what a lovely religion it is. And those are my two things, because I follow Hinduism. I'm a practicing Hindu, like you said. I'm more into the rituals and the pujas and everything at home. I may not speak about it, but I'm going to make sure that that aspect is actually coming out to the world. So those are the two things at personal level I'll be doing in 2021 more.
Great. Krishnaji. Just one thing I wanted to add here. I'm a great fan of Dr. Krishnaji. For apart from the fact that he's a physician, he's a fellow Bihari. That's another part. But he has an outstanding application he has created, app he has created called Relax, RELAXX. You can see the logo on his back of his thing. And I'm a meditator for the last 35 years. So I immediately understood what he's trying to do. And I'm really proud of him that how he has developed that app and so relevant. So all of you, have a look at the app, see what fits you, what suits you. I have not been paid to promote him, and I'm not going to ask him to promote himself here. But each one of you, if you just download the app and see if it works for you. If it works for you, great. Have a conversation with him privately. But Krishnaji, what will be the thing that you did in 2020 you will not do now, and what 2021 you will have some new practice installed in your life?
So Vibhuti, by the way, Shobhaji, I love rituals. So, so if you are rituals, I am a ritual person. So what did I not do? I didn't travel, like Rakesh ji said, and I have many plans already to travel this year. So double up on travel. So that's one thing. The other thing is I realized that by Relax or by book Journey from Life to Life, I'm writing another book as well. And this is the sharing all my experience. This is what I will continue in 2021. And I'll give it a good big shot. I mean, one thing, Vibhuti ji, you mentioned, we all see the drawbacks, but there is, people like many concepts of Hinduism. Like
you have only 1 minute to finish that thought.
Prabhupada came and you saw what he did. He created a revolution. TM, your TM person came. When he came,
Maharishi Mahesh Yogi.
yeah,
Yes.
Mahesh Yogi came, and in Art of Living. I mean, all these things. I mean, people may criticize us, attack us, whatever, but there is an inner kind of receptibility there, which I think is worth, giving as much as we can give.
Thank you. Srilekha ji, same dilemma for you.
So
2020.
Vibhuti, I'll focus less on operational in my GOP activities and focus more on building
Yes.
meaningful relationships and strategic
Good. Brilliant.
activities.
Brilliant. Thank you. Very well said. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. In 2021, every week, I'll have a designated day when I will switch off my phone completely. I mean, that's a tough call in this modern time, but I'm going to do that because it so happened. One day I lost my phone, misplaced my phone. Though I was worried where the phone was and how will it happen, then eventually I came to terms with it. I let my meditation mind speak to me. What is going to happen? You will get a new phone and all the data will be put in it. So, big deal. Just relax. And I tell my wife from time to time, if you don't watch CNN and Fox, the world's news will not change. Except there will be one less viewer. And that's it. Nor the events will change. So, once we realize that feeling, then a smile comes to your face. And that was a really peaceful day I had. So I'm going to do that, switch off the phone, and shoot to have my digital space shot by one day and continue my dialogue with you. So, viewers, I hope you had a good time. It was a great opening shot for 2021. Thank you, all the panelists, Rakesh ji, Shobha ji, Srilekha ji, and Dr. Krishna Bhatt ji, for being part of my show today for January 2nd, 2021. Hope we will interact more. And remember one thing, viewers, if you want to become better, you have to practice at it. That's another part of it. Wishing for something to happen doesn't happen. If you wanted to learn, get your driver's license, you couldn't get the driver's license by mugging up the driver's manual, DMV manual. You had to actually go learn and do it. Whether it's meditation, whether it is pranayam, take care of yourself. That's the most important lesson I learned in 2020. Take nothing for granted. Thank you very much, all of you. Have a wonderful 2021 and see you again next week. Thank you.